I would like to call the City of Kyle Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting to order. Can I have a roll call, please?
Scheibmeier. Scheibmeier.
Paul, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, did you hear Deb?
No, I didn't.
Try it again.
Scheibmeier.
Here.
Snidow.
Here.
McCall. Christie.
Here.
Guerra.
Here.
James. Here. Chase.
Here.
We have a quorum. We can proceed. Item number 3, minutes. Planning and Zoning Commission meeting minutes for July 27th, 2021 and August 10th, 2021. May I have a motion?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move we approve the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting minutes for July 27th, 2021 and August 10th, 2021.
Can I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4, citizen comments. This is the citizen comment period. Planning and Zoning welcomes any comments from the citizens early in the agenda of a regular meeting. Speakers are provided with the opportunity to speak during this time only on agenda item or other items concerning city business. There's a 3-minute time limit. Is there anyone? I will open the public hearing. Citizens comment. Citizens comment. Is there anyone here who would like to speak? Seeing no one, I will close citizens' comments. Item number 5, consent agenda, A and B. Can I have a motion?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent as provided.
I second.
Oh, go ahead.
I have a motion and 2 seconds. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Moving right along. Item number 6, zoning. Consider a request by RPC Kyle LLC and Kyle 120 LLC Z21-0088 to assign original zoning to approximately 318 total acres, PUD zoning 256 acres to single-family attached R1A, 43.92 to apartments residential 3 R33, 18.38 acres to retail service district RS for property located at 700 Button Lane and 800 Button Lane in Hayes County, Texas. This item has a public hearing. I will open the public hearing. Is there anyone here from the public who wishes to speak to this item? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing. I've been told the applicant is here today to give us a presentation. So if you are here, please come on up or come on down and give us your name for the record.
I'm Hunter Floyd with Rassigar Property Company. I have Rebecca Leonard here with me and a couple of other members of our team. First off, just want to thank you guys for taking the time tonight and doing the public service that you do. It's important work. And we're really excited to show you what the project that we have put forth tonight. We've been working on this for quite some time with city staff. When we purchased this property in 2019, we did a lot of exploration in Kyle and just to kind of understand what was the right fit for this area in Kyle and what the city wanted, what the community wanted, and what we thought that the land sort of dictated for the site as well. With that, we found a lot of residents in East Kyle that were very proud of their neighborhood and their region in Kyle, and in my opinion, unfortunately, without a lot of places, local places to really be proud of. So with that, we from the outset, we planned or strove to create a community that had places that people could be proud of. We have some beautiful natural areas within this site that are now going to be open to communities, not just our community, but the entirety of all of Kyle. trails that link up with that, as well as some entertainment and uses that we think are really going to be, number one, needed, and number two, a point of pride for people in East Kyle. So as we go through this, kind of show you the framework for that we're creating to create this future community and the zoning standards. And I'll start to flip through the slides. We have a great team. I think it's an all-star team. Rastigar Property Company being the developer, Lionheart, which is a fantastic urban planning and landscape architecture firm.
One second. We don't have the slides here.
Oh. They're up there. We need to kind of flip them around. Yeah.
Yeah, they should be here. They should come up here also. Can you switch? Thank you.
Are we good? All right. Yeah, we struggle on Zoom all the time now to get the right thing on the screen. I guess we struggle in person too. So as I was saying, we have a fantastic team. Lionheart, great planning firm, great urban design and landscape architecture firm. Rebecca Leonard's here with me tonight. BGE, who's a civil engineer that's done a lot of work in the city of Kyle. Seth Mearig and Chris Rawls. And then we have a developmental services consultant in Carcara Development. Lauren Anderson's here tonight. Ian Cood, who's worked on a lot of projects in the city of Kyle, is a member of the team as well. And then on land planning, principal domain from San Antonio, Steve Kossel. I'm going to start with just giving a little bit of context into where our property is. I'm sure you guys going through the map of the city of Kyle every week or twice a month are pretty familiar with this, but I think it's important to note regionally the location here in that we are sort of straddling Highway 21 and 35. And I think 21 has been a bit of a forgotten sort of transportation network. However, I believe in the future with all that's happening on the east side of Austin and the growth around 130, including Tesla, Samsung, and other things, 21, which connects with 130, is going to be a really important transportation network. This is a look at your future transportation plan that was just approved, I think, last week. Important, we are right smack dab in the middle of one of the regional collectors outlined in that transportation plan. And with our property, we will be building out a large chunk of Gristmill Road, which will be a new kind of east-west connector for this area in Kyle. Just a further look at that, just kind of see it on the map and understand what we're building out there. We thought this was really important when we first started working on this piece of property, and have incorporated in our plans as kind of the spine of the community from the get-go. I'm going to pass it off to Rebecca as we go forward here, but I'll be around for questions as well and filling in. So, thanks, guys.
Great, thank you. Rebecca Leonard with Lionheart. Good to see y'all. So as you can see from the slide here, about 200 acres of the site is currently zoned R12, which is essentially single-family detached residential, 65-foot wide lots. We have lots of that around the area. And then another 118 acres was recently annexed and is zoned agricultural temporarily until it goes through a process such as this. Let's see. I just hit this. Okay, great. So a little more context about the site. The site is 318 total acres. About 60 acres of it is in the floodplain. You can see Bunton Lane is labeled number 1 on the northern edge of the site, which parallels Bunton Creek pretty much through the site. Plum Creek is the southern border of the site, and then Waterleaf Park is just on the other side of Plum Creek from the southern portion of the site. Waterleaf Falls neighborhood is across the creek as well, and then to the west is the Bunton Creek Reserve neighborhood. So we're kind of right in this area of the city that's growing rapidly, surrounded by beautiful amenities like the creek networks. So as the team got together to start to plan for this project, some key goals started to bubble to the top. First of all, they weren't looking to do a single-use, residential-only neighborhood. They really wanted to create a walkable, diverse hub for this part of the city of Kyle, providing a variety of mix of uses and housing types, and I'll show you more about that in a minute. And all of that centered around a public open space network, including a plaza. So creating a very vibrant and authentic place where residents could get out and get to know each other and really feel at home and build a community there. Another goal was they wanted to honor the agricultural past of this area, and so thinking about ways to keep some of that in the development and tying into all the wonderful open space and natural amenities in the area, like the creeks, with trails and recreation. So early on in the process, the team looked at several benchmarks. Given this agricultural heritage, Agritopia, which is in Phoenix, Arizona, was one that came to mind, and the group looked at, as well as Mueller and Plum Creek, a little closer to home here in Kyle and Austin. And so really, what was learned through all this analysis of other benchmarks out there is that this idea of mixing uses and mixing housing types really does deliver a fantastic place to live and build community. And so that's kind of where we all headed. So mix of uses, I'll tell you a little bit about those. We've got some single family, approximately 60% of the site area will be single family. There will be a town square that will include some commercial uses and a plaza space, about 6% of the site. There will be about 20% of the site in parks, tying into the creeks and green belts in the area. And then about 14% of the site is for multifamily. And early on in the process, the clients did a market study to see, what other land uses are needed in this area. And one of the things they looked at was retail and what is the access of this area of your community to retail. And so you can see from this, the site and kind of the nearest retail is 3 miles away. And that means it's not walkable. Everybody's getting in a car to go to that retail. And so that's one thing they wanted to do, is make sure they brought some of that closer to home. Another output from that study was this access to retail services, breaking down every possible, retail purchase a household might make, and looking at every single one of them was undersupplied in this area, in the 3 Mile area. And so that was really important, an opportunity to have some, if not all of these, in this area would be beneficial, keep people from having to travel so far, and also keep some of the sales tax here in Kyle that they might spend elsewhere. So this is an image of the plan, the codified plan that we're proposing. You can see in the dark green and up at the north ends, the public park space. It's about 61 acres. You can also see single family is the green area, the kind of lighter green on my screen anyway. And then we've got orange for multifamily, and that's not just stuck out on the edge. That's integrated into the community as an important piece of this neighborhood, centered around a town square and some commercial area. So I'm going to kind of go into that a little bit more detail. You can see the park space along Bunton Creek to the north. Adjacent to it will be a restaurant and gathering place, and I've got some images I'll show you in a second on that. Just to the south of there will be this commercial use, this commercial building and plaza space, creating kind of a center right on Gristmill Road. So as people are driving, collecting, as that road is identified, through this area, they will have a place to come and pick up some goods and services there. We have varied multifamily developments that sort of ring out from that central plaza space, an elementary school site, which the owners have been in contact with the school district and working through the site and size and layout and location. And then a diversity of single-family housing types. And so you'll see what we lovingly call the confetti plan here, but it's we're not going to have one street that's all 50-foot lots. We're going to have a variety of housing types on every street, and that's kind of the key here. So as I mentioned, there will be a variety of housing, and here's how they break down. We've got some townhomes, and we've got a range of possible units that'll be townhomes from 5 to 20%. We've got detached alley loaded, so these are small lots, 35 to 45 foot with an alley. We've got detached front loaded. We've got 3 different sizes of those, and all of those will be mixed into the community so that, again, you won't have one street that's one product type for the most part. In terms of public spaces, I've already mentioned the park space around Bunton Creek and the restaurant and gathering place, the central plaza. We've got the elementary school and a trail-oriented development on the southern end. I want to show you some renderings of each of those, but I think the key first is that wanting to make sure there is an amenity that's walkable to every single household in this community, which is hard to achieve. A lot of neighborhoods don't do that. And so by distributing these parks and open space and public spaces around the community, everybody can get out there and walk and have access to trails and healthy lifestyle. So we looked at some of the existing conditions of the site and got inspired by those. There's an existing barn out there, beautiful trees, lots of groves of trees and riparian areas that have some really healthy trees. The old homestead, and just beautiful windrows of trees and prairie opportunities there. So that central restaurant and gathering place that's adjacent to the creek, Bunton Creek, this is a rendering of that. It's currently in design and working through that process of including outdoor dining, very agricultural related, could have a number of amenities. Here's a site plan currently in the works. You'd come from the parking lot through a pecan grove into this cluster of outbuildings, some of which are existing buildings like the barn and some are new. But architecture to kind of play on the agricultural heritage of the area. And you'd enter that farm space. There'd be the community barn, an event lawn, also a tasting deck for if there's breweries or wineries or things here, a meadow amphitheater, sculpture and art, and then a connection down to the creek through a meadow. The plaza space is just south of that, centered around in the middle of the commercial property and also the multifamily developments. We envision a plaza space that the commercial building will kind of wrap around. And this will have a paseo through it from parking areas into the plaza space. So everyone, even if you aren't there at the office building, you're going to feel like you can get to that through the paseo into the plaza space quickly and easily. We've got a children's play area planned, a central lawn space for events and an event pavilion, splash pad, and then coffee kiosk and tree grove. We can only imagine that with lots of families living here, they're going to need lots of coffee. So we also have, as I mentioned, been working with the school district and have an 11-acre site identified with them at the kind of eastern edge of Grist Mill. And working through all of that, but this is one of the plans for what that elementary school site could be. And, we already know that this development, and this has been one of the assets we've been trying to work with, is connected to all the green belts that you all have been working so hard to connect. And so we definitely wanted to contribute to that. And what we found really exciting is that even the new planning that's been coming through about trails and open space has been identifying not just recreational amenities that are connected by the trail, but also opportunities like this, where you can get off the trail and access something that has goods and services, coffee, restaurants, and other things. And so we fit right into that. Our little town center will make a great little connection down to the Plum Creek Greenbelt, and it's already in the plans that you all have as a city. So we're excited about that. And with that, I'll turn it back over to y'all. If you have any questions, we're here to answer.
Any questions? Anyone? No? Paul?
Madam Chair.
Paul?
Yeah, I'm curious what the increase in density is going to be relative to what it would be had we remained with the current zoning that's already scheduled for this. Or what's in our master plan? Is there a comparison of that number available?
Wait a minute, Paul.
It looks like,
Paul,
No?
Paul,
Sorry.
take a breath.
Will, you don't have that off the top of your head, do you? We have a study that I could access.
We could
that
do
has
that
shown
with
it.
the staff report. We can answer that question in the staff report. Okay, Paul?
okay, yep.
All right.
I just want to make sure we cover it.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you very much for that presentation. It was very comprehensive. Okay, Mr. Atkinson?
All right, Will Atkinson for the record, city planner for the city of Cobb. They did a great presentation there, so I don't have a whole lot more to add, except I'll just kind of make my way through the presentation if you don't, or through the staff report. Bear with me just a moment. All right, this is, we're using the address of 700 Button Lane. It's actually two different properties, 700 and 800 Button Lane, but just for purposes of everything, it's 700. They're wanting to rezone approximately 200 acres from R1-2 and 118 acres ag to, for a total of 318 to the PUD, which includes 256 acres R1A, 43.92 acres R33, and 18.38 acres to RS. Right here, you can see the vicinity map. Like the representative from Lionheart, you have the Button subdivisions, both Button Creek Reserve and Twin Estates up there to the northwest. There's actually a property to the southeast between Heidenreich and the Rastigar property that's actually being developed, and they're building a bit of a stub to grist mill as well. And then you got Waterleaf to the south, along with Plum Creek, and then a branch of Plum Creek. I think it's the Button branch to the north, flanking it on each side. Like I said, it is primarily about 2/3 of it are R1-2, which is 65 footers on the single family detached. And then the remaining thirds about is ag, which would allow for row crops and what have you, single family in very low densities. From a comprehensive plan perspective, they will be moving forward with this. This area is expected to, from the A district, the 118 acres, to be an extension of an East New Settlement, and we'll be doing a local node whenever the comp plan is finished here relatively soon. The reason why they're doing a PUD is because they wanted to provide a project, like they've already stated, that it was extremely high quality and something that we don't have over here on the southeast side of town, and something very unique. They wanted to make a town center feel to it, and they wanted to be able to provide a plethora of housing types scattered throughout the project. They wanted to be able to provide a central core of a town center. They wanted to have a destination place, and also meeting with our trail network requirements, our transportation master plan, and they're going to have wastewater from us and getting water from county line side. So they have all these items that are required, but they want to do them, and we should always try to help out those people wanting to develop property in a way that makes Kyle better. We should always help if they legitimately want to make it better. They're tying into the vibe concept. I don't know how much some of y'all know about that yet, but it's an idea that was presented to City Council at the last meeting that we're starting to move forward with from code edits. We're going to be doing some meetings internally, and then having to bring those forward to y'all as well, where we want people to be able to hike and walk and bike around town as an alternative transportation network, but have these nodal areas where they can have a little entertainment or like a patio restaurant or outdoor amphitheater. It's something that's extremely nice, a very neat concept, and we're excited to have that as well. The densities, I don't have the overall density off the top of my head. I apologize, Hunter, but I do remember from a conversation we had early on with y'all that the comparable densities, even though there's a whole bunch of different density types, the traffic generation, there was not much difference because different residential land use types and different commercial land use types, as they're all combined together, they average out. It's very similar compared to just if you just do straight single family detached. So they're going from 60 feet and up all the way up to townhomes. They want to do some multifamily. There's an opportunity for vertical mixed use. There's all sorts of housing types. One that is absolutely supporting a town center feel, and these guys are doing it right. They are asking for some PUD standards that are not typical of our zoning districts, but so there's some flexibility, but also to be able to make the project better. And those are to reduce the Septs typically to help better activate the street from a pedestrian standpoint. To some extent, some parking ratios, some high square footage on minimum units for the multifamily. But it's a great project. I don't have much more to say about that, except I can, y'all probably already seen it, but I can share the PUD standards if you would like, or I can show the map of the way of the layout of the development as well, if that's something I want to see. Y'all have any questions?
I have a question. Will, when we're considering this zoning, they're asking for single-family attached R1A and apartments residential R33 and RS. Now, you're speaking about townhomes, and I saw them on the plan, but there's no zoning for that. And you're speaking about mixed use, vertical mixed use, and there's no zoning for that. So I can tell you that's what I'm building, but if it's not zoned there, how does it happen?
The PUD standards, if you also look on the map, the layout, they're including R1T as grouping it together with the R33 from a perspective, just from a consolidation standpoint. So when you're looking at the map layout, you'll see where there's areas of townhomes, and they're going to include some of those in there.
I saw that, but
retail services.
But how are we allowing them to build? I saw it on the plan. I mean, I could see where they are, where they intend for them to be. But how can they do that if it's not zoned that? Am I missing something? I'm being serious. I just don't know.
No, I understand. They're requesting to put those in with, from a zoning perspective. Okay, so without a PUD, our zoning districts are separate between townhomes and multifamily, right?
Right.
When it comes to PUD, there's flexibility that you can have built into that, and they're just simply asking to have those built into the group together from an efficiency standpoint, from a zoning perspective.
So where did it say that in their standards that I missed? I didn't. Where does it say that they're going to put? They wish the zoning for townhomes to be included. Will be included with their, say, family attached or whatever. Where does it say that?
It's not specifically spelled out in the standards themselves that the townhomes are grouped together with the zoning of the R33, but on the map itself, they're part of that larger boundary of the R33. So by reference, that's how they are shown in there. If between now and we go to city council next week, if it helps y'all feel better to be able to clarify that in editing their standards in the wording, that's fine. We can do that to make sure there's some clarification on that perspective.
Yeah, you also mentioned mixed use too, which would be retail on the bottom and apartments on top. And I read the standards and I didn't see anything in there where that includes that. I believe they're going to do that. I just want to know, as a city, should we be allowing that if it's not written somewhere? If this is a PUD and it's supposed to be better than what we're providing, their standards are higher than ours. I just want to see that in the writing, that it's going to happen. I don't want 10 years from now for something to happen where they can't get the retail in there and we're looking at more multifamily or single-family homes in there. That's happened before in this city, and I don't want to see it happen again.
No, I understand that. In section E on the PUD standards, it talks about in retail services where they can have vertical mixed use in there as well.
Can you
where
put
it
that up
talks
for
about
me,
that
please, Will? Thanks.
Sure. All right. So it talks about under uses permitted in the RS district, residential uses for sub-bullet case I, or 1, if you will. Residential units are permitted within a
Okay.
mixed-use building when located on upper floors or on the lower floor at the rear of the building, and what have you. So that's where they have it right there for the areas zoned.
And if you just get
RS.
the townhouses in there, I'm cool with it.
Okay.
May I help a little bit for just a second?
Sure.
If you look at section 2, under that single-family land use area, that is R1A. So under R1A, you're already permitted townhomes. They don't need the specific R1T. So essentially, townhomes are being pulled into that whole single-family area. But then in your standards tables on that next page, you've got a minimum allocation of townhomes. So that essentially ensures that you've got a zoning that allows them, and then these guys are required to build them at that minimum allocation.
Okay. Because we desperately need townhomes in this city. We do.
That's-
We have cajillion single-family homes, but boy, we can really use those townhomes. That's
Yes,
why
they've-
I'm driving this hard.
They've got a minimum allocation of 5% and maximum 20%. So the more single-family total that they build, the more townhomes then have to come in with that, and that's in
Thank
the
you.
PUD doc. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Okay, Will, I'm done with you.
And I wanted to say one more thing, if you don't mind.
Okay, good.
I did speak about the R33 and the townhomes. I was looking at it wrong. It is just south of where the R33 is, and it is part of the R1A perspective.
Okay,
The gentleman who just walked up and spoke, he is absolutely correct.
thank you.
It's my pleasure.
So, Will, going along with that, the R1A, it's 256 acres to single-family attached R1A. So, all the single family in this property is going to be zoned R1A, but it seemed like most, I don't know if I was looking at the plans wrong, most of it didn't seem like it was actually attached. So we're just grouping it all together, even though, or are they all actually attached homes?
No.
Then, if they're not
No,
all
they-
attached, why not have different zonings instead of just calling everything R1A?
It's from a regulatory standpoint, when staff's looking at it, when the developer's looking at it, it's from an ease of keeping it one zoning district. Getting it on the single family attached and detached, the 35 footers up to 50s and 60s, you can build all those in there, and the way the way they're editing the rules within the PUD, they should be able to have all of those. So that way they can look at it from a one zoning perspective, and then they can go reference the PUD zoning standards.
Okay, because I'm with the chairperson. I'm just actually I very much like what I've seen about this project. Just the zoning itself does worry me because things don't always pan out the way they are presented at first. And the way we're zoning this is a bit worrisome.
Sorry if I may. Will, would you mind pulling up that PUD standards table that outlines kind of the minimum and maximum uses within each district, primarily the residential district? Because those, you're
For sure.
right, it is R1A as an overall zoning, but we are within the PUD standards required for a minimum for certain housing typologies and a max as well. So like Chris mentioned before on the townhouse product where we have a minimum of 5 and a max of 20, it's the same thing with each different category.
Okay.
So it's kind of outlined in that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Go.
This brings up a question on the setback. It says a townhome patio home has a 10-foot setback, so, and 12-foot parking spaces. What is the size of your off-street parking spaces? So are you planning on putting garages in these townhomes? Because 10 feet is not a parking space.
I don't believe that garages are, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe garages are required. But if we do provide a garage, I think we have listed a 400 square foot.
Right, and they're not required, but the parking space is required. 9 by 18.5 feet, my understanding.
So we intend as much as possible to provide on-street parking as well as parking within driveways. There's nothing worse, in my opinion, than a car that's going to stick out in a sidewalk in a community that's meant to be walkable.
I agree.
So that's our intent there. Now, if we have a garage in the front, then there's room for a car to park within the garage, and that 10-foot separation is enough for that. But again, we're trying to keep people moving slowly in vehicles within this community. So parking on street is a way to kind of facilitate that and encourage people to walk on the sidewalks in lieu of driving at high speeds.
Yeah, I live in Plum Creek, it doesn't work. So,
And apologies, but in the townhome product, we will have the garages in the rear, so they're all rear loaded.
okay,
Yeah.
so there'll be a 9 by 18.5 foot parking space somewhere
In a garage.
for everybody's pickup truck. I don't care if it's in a
Yes.
garage or in a driveway. I want off-street, big enough for somebody's pickup truck.
We'll do our best. It's tough to sort of drive planning of housing, particularly, more dense sort of housing that's meant to be, driving a walkable community
Right.
to have, pickup trucks drive that rather than the housing typology,
Right.
drive the car that you pick. But, we'll do what we can to facilitate
I
that.
agree, and I totally understand, but I'm living with that right now, and I don't want to recreate that in this community because it creates a lot of contention and tension within a community. And so that's not the kind of community you want to create. And how wide are your streets since you're wanting on-street parking? How wide are the streets?
So 50-foot right-of-ways. Chris, do you want to speak to this in more detail? But those are all within the PUD standards that we can go through. So 70-foot collector, 50-foot right-of-way in the local streets.
Okay.
And just to clarify on the townhomes, those are alley loaded, so they won't be, on-street parking would be strictly on street. If somebody's parking in a driveway and they can't fit their gigantic truck in the driveway, it's booking out into the alley, not actually into any sidewalks or public rights of way.
We can't hear what's being said. Can they step to up to the microphone?
Sorry,
So
Paul.
The townhomes are alley loaded, so they're loaded from the rear, so in most cases, they're gonna have a garage, but if they don't, they're going to be parked into a driveway off of an alley, not off of the public right-of-way frontages. So nobody's gonna be pulling out into those sidewalks or kind of walkable areas.
But they will have a parking space there.
Yes,
whether
yeah,
they're-
there will be room to park regardless.
I'm fine.
Absolutely.
I'm not driven for garages, but good quality off-street parking spaces are important.
Yep. And just to kind of go into detail on what you asked about as far as the street widths, it's 50 feet right away. They vary, I think 26 feet is the minimum, probably 28 feet of pavement in most cases. And then we have a couple of 60-foot sort of collector roads. And then Gristmill obviously is 70 feet being the main arterial coming through there.
Now, answer for the 26-foot streets, if people are parking on both sides, is that legal for parking on both sides of those streets?
No.
So if it gets below 32 feet, face to curb to face of curb, the fire department limits it to one side parking. That way they have sufficient access to get a fire truck down there. Our minimum right now is 28 anyway, in our subdivision code. So then I'm looking at section 4D that's showing it with 28 feet minimum, and that's compliant with our code
Then they definitely,
already. So
all right. Then they definitely need
What's that?
off-street parking, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's 2 spaces in the garage. It's a 400 square foot garage.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so all the townhomes have a 400 square foot garage.
Great.
Should have just said that
Paul?
at the beginning.
Well, thank you, that makes me happy right there.
Commissioner Shebmeyer?
Yeah, looks pretty good. I noticed the elementary school on there. I think that's a good selling point. How's the elementary school codified within the zoning to ensure that that happens? Are we able to, and forgive me for not knowing the answer, and Will, maybe you know that, what zoning is required for an elementary school? Or is that something that we come back later and deal with? Or how's that planned on happening?
So it's a two-pronged question. The first, from a zoning perspective, it would fall under the federal law, or LUPA, where Religious Land Use and Institution Act, if not, they can pretty much go in any zoning district they want. Whatever zoning district they go in, though, they have to be compliant with those codes. So that school districts can go where they want. You'll see, if you look at a zoning map and then you put where the existing schools are in City of Kyle, there's a school that has warehouse zoning. There's schools that have a lot of different residential zonings. There's some that have, it's probably one at least that has commercial zoning. So they're kind of exempt from a zoning perspective from which zoning district they can go in, if you will. They do need to be compliant with the code for which one they do go into, if you will. So the other side of it is, on the private side, if they're working with the school district, that's something they have to work out with a contract with them in terms of when they're going to give the land over to the school district, how quickly the school district expects to have a school built there. School district has to fund it also in a bond package as well. So that's a little bit further down the road in terms of when the school's going to go there, and that's a little bit more of a gray area.
So just to add to that, section 3C in the PUD, so remember the PUD's their Bible. They have to follow what's in the PUD. In the PUD, it states that they shall, not may or can or probably. It does say that they shall reserve an 11-acre site, school site.
Okay.
Good catch, Commissioner. Love that word, shall. Brendan?
Thank you. When we are talking about the town square land use area, when I look at the uses and I go to item 4, it talks about outdoor live acoustic music and amplified sound. Why are we specifying already before 11 p.m. on weeknights and 10 p.m. on weekdays? Like, why is that necessary to the PUD?
I'm looking at the deal real quick, the PUD standards. They might be able to answer this better than I can, but I'm going to guess that it's to help provide one of those locations to where you can have some events, some live music and what have you, to draw crowds to the commercial areas in that town center feel.
Could we do that without having to specify already before 11 p.m. on weeknights and before 10 p.m. on weekdays? And also, if this is related to something else in the city, would that already cover the PUD? Because I feel like this is kind of restrictive for no reason.
So for right now, you can have unamplified music, outdoor uses like that within the retail services zoning district, but you have to go through a conditional use permit to be able to have other outdoor uses. So they're going to go ahead and put this in here as well, in terms so they can already have it automatically instead of having to go out and get special permission for it.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone else?
What's your lot count with the current mix? Or your doors? What are your doors? Not including multifamily. your high end.
I think we're 1,008. Sorry, I was waiting for Will to answer.
1,008?
Yeah.
Okay. Based on the land plan that was presented?
Correct.
Okay.
It's manipulated.
And just so y'all know, the land plan, the PUD standards, they'll be part of the ordinance as backup material for when the ordinance, if it's passed. So we'll be able to reference that as well.
Yeah, I'm
The
assuming a
zoning
max.
side of it,
I'm assuming a max unit count will be put in there for the land.
It's in there.
Is it? I didn't see it.
I think towards the beginning of the PUD standards, there's a max density allowed within each sort of district, if you will.
Yeah, I see the allocations, I just don't see a max number on here. Granted, I'm looking at it on a cell phone, so.
So it's broken down with each use, right? So C3 for the single-family land use area, and then when you go to the multifamily, there's a max density there as well.
Mhm.
Same thing for retail services. For retail services is pretty low on a unit count because it's.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
I guess a follow-up to that would be, if this is kind of within a bounds, how high or low in compared to those bounds is it? Because I'm looking at section 5 phasing, where it talks about when you can build or when you have to build the town square land use area. And my concern is if anything ever drops below 800, like certificates of occupancy, would you ever have to go? Is there ever any reason where something happens where you would essentially have promised, we're going to build these nice homes and we're going to build this nice town center, and then, the economic situation changes, it's not viable, you don't end up being able to do it necessarily, and then it just doesn't get built in that area.
Or we convert the remainder of the property into larger lots or something like that and keep it all residential. How do we avoid that?
I think that was the intent of that phasing is to give us some sort of, to give you guys, frankly, some sort of control where we can't build, we couldn't just convert the entire thing to single family and build 1,500 lots, right? So if we get over that 800, then we have to build the town square. It is our intent absolutely to build that as the center of the community to start with, but to your point, market conditions are of course going to drive that and whether or not we can finance it.
Additionally, the zoning for the town center doesn't allow for, even within the PUD, doesn't allow for single family. The town center is the RS, the retail services based zoning. So for them to be able to change that over to single family or even want to build that as single family, which I don't think is going to happen or they'll want to do, but they would have to go get an amendment to the zoning before they could do that.
Anything else? Anyone else? Are we sure? Okay, now you know what's coming next. I'm going
Madam
to ask for
Chair?
a motion. Yes.
I move that we approve item 6A as written.
I second.
I have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any further discussion? Yes.
Yes. Thank you all for the presentation. It was very good, and I'm very excited to have these kind of projects in East Kyle. I think East Kyle specifically is sometimes passed over when it comes to certain things, and so definitely seeing it part of the trail system is a very positive thing for our future.
Anyone else?
No, it's beautiful. Thank you. It's really nice.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Item number 7, consider and possible action. Before I go on, thank you very much for answering all our questions in the presentation. It was very good. Consider a request to construct an approximately 7,620 square foot convenience store, associated fuel pumps and canopy and a 3,900 square foot car wash for property located at 1805 West FM 150 within the Rebel Drive Overlay District. Old Stagecoach C-Store, Cup 21-0032. Mr. Atkinson? Oh, nobody's here.
All right, so before you, we have the old C-Store fuel station, no, old C-Store, old Stagecoach Road C-Store fuel station is what we're referring to the CUP as. And it's as you might expect, it's a convenience store with a fuel station, and they also have a proposed car wash on the same site. It is zoned retail services. It's at the intersection of Old Stagecoach Road and not Rebel Drive anymore, Veterans Drive, so excuse me. I'll pull up that here in just a moment, so you'll have a reference point. Bear with me. There we go, show all windows. Here we go. My apologies. Michelle had stated it's approximately 7,600 square feet for the convenience store, fuel pumps, canopy, and a 3,900 square foot car wash. It's on approximately 2.67 acres of Lot 1, Block A, the Finley subdivision. They're going to have architectural features such as canopies, windows, cementitious siding, stucco, and brick veneer, completing the exterior facade. Right here in the highlighted blue areas where is the lot that they have. Whenever, most of y'all know this, I believe everybody's already, that's on the dais, has dealt with a conditional use permit in this manner before. We have several, potentially 7 overlay districts within the city of Kyle, with the I-35 overlay having the one with specific facade requirements, but every one still has to go through a conditional use permit if you have a commercial property within it, even if there's no standards. So the base standard, that the minimum that I tried to pull from in this case, in the Rebel Drive overlay, is for the section the retail services zoning district, for section 53-483, where it talks about the facades facing the right of way having to have a masonry veneer and what have you, and tried to push it from there as much as we could, because we want every development in Kyle to have the best design it possibly can. So technically this is compliant. Let me pull up the exterior renderings real quick. All right. So before you right here, this is the front of the building. This is if you're looking from Veterans Drive. It's a mix of fiber cement board with architectural blocks. You have some brick veneer on it, illuminated canopy, and they're going out. It's not just a square building. They have a lot of different elevations on it, different architectural features, and so they are trying to bring something attractive to the city of Kyle. Over here you have the side of the building right here. On the rear is right here. The side is facing away from any right of way, so there's less architectural features on it, but it still has some. And then over here is the south side of the face of the building. There's a drive-through wrapping around the side. I will say this, and we'll come back to that here in a moment, in trying to get this all wrapped up, we did forget to coordinate with doing the fuel canopy as part of this review. So I will ask that if you're okay with it, for me to be able to coordinate with the developer to bring forward or figure out a compliant and better fuel canopy than which is the minimum, with staff being able to approve it. But we'll get to that here in just a moment for further discussion. And here's the car wash design. It shows the general layout. It has a lot of similar features from the facade perspective of the C-Store. And it has some canopies for whenever you park to detail your vehicle as well. And it is compliant. There's nothing wrong with what they're trying to do. They do go above and beyond what is required from that section in the retail services zoning district. And then I will show the site plan and landscape as well. Landscape plan. So right here is the site plan. You got FM 150 at the top, Old Stagecoach Road at the bottom. We got the C-Store with the gas pumps, and they have connectivity to the property to the north, or plain left, if you will. The property to the west, or plain south, is actually not zoned for retail, so we don't require interconnectivity. Right here's the landscape plan showing all their proposed landscaping. They've preserved a few trees as well. Going back to the, again, back to the fuel canopy. It was something that neither one of us picked up on, and I apologize from both the applicant and myself. If y'all are okay with it, I plan to ask them to add to, usually what we do is on the poles holding the canopy up, we make them add some sort of masonry facade that has some of the same materials that the building has. So if y'all are okay with that, I would like permission to administratively approve a canopy that matches the two other buildings. But otherwise, this is compliant. It meets and exceeds the retail services zoning district and the railroad drive overlay requirements. Do y'all have any questions?
Any questions?
I don't know if it applies, but I don't see sidewalks, or can you point them out to me real quick? Just want to.
Sure.
Just for my own
pull it back
edification.
up. Yeah, they're on there. Give me 1 second though. So let me annotate here. Right here is a sidewalk. So you get to see my scribbles here.
Okay.
There's a crosswalk over there, comes around. And they only need to build to the property line, but there's one that comes in here. There's one that comes over here to the building for the car wash, and they have a connection point that kind of connects it all as well.
Okay. And I guess that roadway there has been kind of done in mind with what they're planning right now on Old Stagecoach.
Yeah, there might be a few revisions, but right on the intersection, that should stay in pretty close to that. Now, for the further you go west on Old Stagecoach Road, there might be plans later on from the city to realign the road. But the closer you get to the intersection, the closer it is to true based on their plans.
But none of this would materially affect any of the stuff we're trying to approve today, I guess, even if it had moved around a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, no, you're correct.
It looks like the trash cans are in a good spot too. Good work. Yeah. Looks good to me.
Now, if we do a motion on this, do we have to, we should, I guess, include that we're going to give you administrative authority to approve the fuel pumps? With
Yes,
the
because they're going to
canopy?
have this same similar cladding on the poles for the fuel pumps that the store does.
Okay. Go. You don't have anything?
Pardon me?
You don't have anything?
I don't have any.
Oh, well. Anyone else? Okay, can I have a motion?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the request as presented and to provide staff with administrative power to approve the canopy over the fuel pumps.
Can I have a second?
Second?
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Yes?
I just want to say that I have no reason to not approve this, and I'm going to plan to approve it, but I don't want to see another one of these convenience store car washes across from another convenience store car wash, especially on this road. They're like, I have no reason to say no, so I can't say no to this, but like, everything in my planning gut tells me this is a terrible decision.
I hear you. It is right across the street from the other gas
Well, hopefully
station
the
name.
other one will see it and improve what they've got. Because
Right,
it's pretty miserable over there right now.
right. Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. 7B, consider a request to construct an approximately 15,000 square foot pet paradise facility, a business that offers luxury pet boarding, grooming, day camp, and veterinary care located at 2361 Kohler's Crossing within the I-35 Overlay District. Pet Paradise, Cup 21-0034. Mr. Atkinson.
Right. Here we have the other one for the day, for the evening. Pet Paradise. It's in the Dry River. I cannot talk tonight. The Dry River District, CUP-21-0034. They're wanting to build approximately a 15,000 square foot luxury pet boarding, grooming, day camp, and veterinary care facility. It's going to comprise of, it's going to have some canopies, windows, and stone split face CMU, some stucco, in detail features, and architectural shingles. They're also going to have a combination of brick and metal decorative fence lining the east and north side of the facility. So the east and the north side of the facility are the driveway going off of Kohler's and the side facing Evo. You can see it there on the blue square there, right behind Schlossky's. This is in the I-35 overlay district, so there actually is plans that they have to comply with from a code perspective. And they do go above and beyond that, actually. So it meets and exceeds the requirements for the I-35 overlay. So we ask that you approve it. I will pull up the renderings, the elevations here real quick. Assuming they load faster. Give me 1 second here. All right, there we go. Okay, there we go. Starting to load there. Computer's running a bit slow tonight. All right, so here's the decorative fence elevation that they're going to put around the north and the east side of the facility. I will, as shown in the document, it will be an outer fence to an inner security fence to help kind of shield the, I don't want to call it ugliness for the security fence, but they have told me that animals can get out of the decorative fences, so they like to have a security one on the inside. So it kind of shields that to some extent, makes them a little bit more pretty. All right, here you see the general layout. The front would face Kohler's Crossing. There's a little portico share that you can drive under and drop your dog off. And there's facilities internal. There's little pools and little outdoor areas for them to play, and there's kennels wrapping around it. Right here on the front, we have the building. It has the stone water table and columns. There's a little bit of stucco at the top above where the sign's going to be, the little dog bone sign, but only up in that little area. The rest of it's going to be a CMU and what have you. So as shown in the staff report, these guys have gone above and beyond, have no qualms with what they're wanting to do, and in my opinion, should be approved without question. But do y'all have any questions for me?
You go.
Yeah, obviously, it's a beautiful design, and I have been a user of doggy daycare and doggy boarding for many years, so can appreciate that. My question is, most of them that I'm familiar with, particularly in a more urbanized area, the exterior pens are not quite as exposed to the neighboring properties. And I'm a little bit concerned about noise to the neighboring properties, like if there was a restaurant or something where people wanted to sit outside, how is that sound of barking dogs going to be buffered from the,
Probably by the 14, 18 wheelers that always park around there. Sorry.
I'm saying eventually, you know, somebody else
that-
might want to be.
Well, if you're putting,
Give me a second.
if you're looking to develop a restaurant or whatever kind of business, if this is already there, you're going to know.
Right.
You know, so you may think twice. Something else more appropriate, more all indoor or whatever would be there that you wouldn't hear it. I'm just guessing, I would just say. And you're right about the 18-wheelers, so.
Yeah, Kohler's Crossing is a pretty noisy intersection, to be honest, right there. The use is allowed in retail services, dog grooming, dog kennels, veterinary services. There's nothing wrong with them wanting to do. So to be honest, that question hasn't popped up in any conversation that we've had with them.
Okay.
What about cats?
I don't-
It's
What
a
about
dog
cats,
paradise.
ma'am? What about cats? That's what I want to know.
It's dog. It's a pet paradise.
It's
pet?
just dogs only? What if I
No,
have a
no,
pet
it-
parakeet and I want to board it there?
It does say pet
I believe
paradise.
it's dogs and cats.
Stumped them. You had to know I, of all people, would ask about cats. You had to know that. Debbie paid me to ask that
You might have a
question.
handful of cats.
Okay, are any other questions? All right, now, you know what I need, ladies and gentlemen.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I will make a motion to approve the request as presented.
I have a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item number 8, general discussion. Discussion only regarding Planning and Zoning Commission request for future agenda items. Okay, anyone have anything they want to put on the agenda to make Will crazy? Nothing, A.
I just have
Yes,
a question,
go.
I guess. So 7A made me think of a question. Rebel Drive overlay, can that be changed? And is that is that going to be changed?
It's something we didn't catch until this CUP came up. Because right there, it's now Veterans Drive, right? And
Yeah.
it follows the same boundary, so it's really, for all intents and purposes, the overlay is a little bit wider than the drive, but I think yes, from a city's perspective, it probably doesn't need to be changed. I'll discuss that with people above me.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else have anything they want to put on the future agendas? No? Okay. Number 9, staff report. Staff report by William Atkinson, City Planner. Mr. Atkinson?
All right. So, I had a list here what I wanted to talk about. Hold on. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I was just thinking about it. As most, if not all of you already know, Mr. Kuntz, his last day was on September the 10th, which was last Friday. He's now the planning director over at Drifting Springs. So he will not be attending meetings anymore as a staff member. I mean, maybe he'll want to show up one of these days, who knows? But as a member of the audience. So he, for the time being, duties are being split between myself and James Earp, the assistant city manager. I'm doing everything I can I'm backing Debbie up with keeping permits moving forward. She's really the person who keeps it moving. But we're all working together and make sure we're keeping things coming forward and what have you. And in the meantime, until we hire another planning director. I think, are any of y'all interested in going to the APA conference this fall?
Sure.
virtually or in person.
Virtually would be great.
Do you know where it is?
They're offering, it's in Fort Worth if you want to go.
Oh,
But they're offering it virtually if it's more amenable to you because, the pandemic's still going on and what have you. So what I can do, if anybody's interested, let us know. Shoot us an email that you're interested in attending, whether in person or virtual. And I'll coordinate with James to see what the budget looks like for covering costs on that. I'll be honest, I don't know what it looks like. But if it's anything like years past, we'll figure out what's available for covering costs. Those are the two big things I had. We're still coordinating between administration, communications, and the planning department, the comp plan amendment, and figuring out the details of that, moving it forward. So I know it keeps seemingly being delayed, but things keep popping up. So we are moving it forward in the correct path, though. So we'll be figuring out those details sooner than later. I don't have anything else. Do y'all have any questions for me?
does anyone have any questions for Mr. Atkinson?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious, when's my last day? Are you guys,
Your last day is when they get a replacement.
okay, stop asking questions, and all right, good, I'm done.
Yeah, it's when they get a replacement. It says 9:30, but you, according to the charter, you are seated until a replacement is found, and then you disappear.
Okay.
Okay? Commissioner James?
Sure. Thank you. My question is, this does not be too much of an answer for this, but like, what best can we do from our perspective as a board to make sure your transitions are as smooth as possible? Like, what is there?
Don't
There's
ask
no-
so many questions.
There's-
No,
okay,
I'm
okay,
kidding.
that's my
I'm
question.
kidding.
I like it when people ask questions, even if I don't have the answers. I'd rather people be curious about projects that are happening, whether it be zoning or plating or site plans, the occasional when it comes forward to y'all, CPs, what have you. Always feel free to ask questions. If you see something over the weekend while you're reviewing the agenda that gives you an idea or you have a question about, feel free to reach out and email us. Because sometimes it helps a little bit to be able to do a little bit of research to answer your question, because we may not have the answer in front of you at the meeting. Most of the time we try to, but otherwise just keep being awesome. Y'all are fun to work with, so we appreciate it.
Okay, Will, I have something that I need to say.
Sure.
You might not like it, but I have
Okay.
to say it.
I can take it.
As of today, I am tendering my resignation to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Lots of thought has gone into this, and I can no longer deal with the nonsense that we have to deal with here on the commission. These commissioners are very dedicated to their work, and as some of you who were not here when we did the comprehensive plan, that kind of pushed me over the edge. Paul knows that. We did a lot of work on the comprehensive plan. We had a vendor come in, and then the city turned everything down, saying they knew they were doing a better job than anybody we could bring in. So why didn't you tell us that in the first place? You know, it's just disrespectful. And in my humble opinion, I feel that goes back to the leadership of the city council not telling us, meeting with us, sharing their thoughts and ideas so that we know better how they want us to proceed on things. We kind of flounder and get things wrong and right. And again, everybody here does a great job. The two commissioners who left because of this nonsense did a great job. And I think it was the city's passage of the downtown revitalization plan that put me over the edge. You know, we've been begging for for a comprehensive plan. We started some work on it and quit it, and apparently the city didn't have any confidence in coming to us and meeting with us and seeking our help or our advisement and assistance with that. It also speaks to the way no, I'm not going there. But I'm just going to say that I love you all, and I will miss this desperately, but my sanity is more important. I am retired, and this is starting to feel like work. And that's a 4-letter word to me that I can't use anymore. So I love you all, but I'm out. Item number 10 is adjournment. Can I have a motion?
With a motion,
Yes.
I move to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Can I have a second?
Second?
A motion and a second. Any discussion? No. All those in favor say
Whoa,
aye.
whoa.
Whoa.
I need to say you've done a damn good job, and I've been really happy to serve alongside with you. And
Thank you,
I hope,
Paul.
at some point in the future, you'll be back when it's not as much 4-letter word kind of stuff going on.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate that. Anybody
you.
else?
Yes, I'd like to speak up. Michelle, we've appreciated everything you've done. You've been an amazing chairperson, and please keep attending meetings anyway. Whether it's virtually or
Honey, you know I'm going to be watching.
spending Tuesday night.
All
Feel
those
free.
all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? We're out.
Thank you, everybody.